feeling. You've got the warm and fuzzies, you're spending all your time with someone, and you're unusually cheery all the time. What's going on? You're in love. It's the great mystery of life. Well, after why do we even exist? And it has driven everything from building a family to starting a war. But what exactly is this thing called love? Why do humans love? Does it have a purpose? In this video, we're going to take a look at all the technical details of everyone's favorite topic, love, and explain exactly why we really fall in love. When you see love in some movies or read about it in stories, it can happen in an instant. Person sees person, bam! It's love at first sight. In most cases of love, and according to, science, the truth is closer to something along the lines of when Harry met Sally. Love happens over time and in stages, and it takes time to grow if it's going to last. How do we know this? Well, neuroscientists and psychologists have spent a lot of time studying the chemistry of the brain as it falls in love. What they found out about the question, why do humans love? According to one study conducted at Harvard University, there are 3 stages of love: lust, attraction, and attachment. Each of these stages is driven by certain hormones as well. That's right, no matter how mature you think you are in love, you're still just a hormonal teenager. The first stage, lust, involves estrogen and testosterone. These hormones are your sex hormones. They drive the need to reproduce in us and push us towards certain individuals. This is the stage where you say to yourself, yeah, that person is hot. Yes, this first part of love is about one thing and one thing alone. Drum roll, please. Sex. You initially fall in love because sex. In the next stage, attraction, things get a bit more complex. While often confused, lust and attraction are not quite the same, though they are connected. Lust involves attraction, and attraction can often involve lust. But you're not getting from lust to love without attraction. Attraction is where you start to establish a real bond, and it's essential to the process of falling in love. In the attraction stage, dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin step in to start deepening the initial connection created by lust. At this point, it's not just about sex, it's about reward. This is where you start feeling the warm and squishies, where you feel energized and almost giddy. In essence, during this stage, your reward center is firing constantly, telling you, "Good doggy, you've done well," and it gives you a little pat on the head. Side note, in this stage, let's face it, you're also a little obsessed. Neuroscience tells us that serotonin levels are pretty low during the attachment phase, meaning that you have a similar chemical profile to someone with excessive compulsive disorder. Oops. The third stage, attachment, is the big one. It's the one that answers the age-old question, what makes love last? In the attachment stage, oxytocin and vasopressin step in and take charge, encouraging us to bond with the other person. Without this all-important attachment stage, love just ain't gonna last. You see a 40-plus year marriage walk by you on the street, chances are there's a whole lot of oxytocin and vasopressin walking by you as well. Okay, but why? Why do we have to go through all this? Why do we have to suffer this thing called love? The answer is not that romantic, unfortunately. In fact, the romantics may all scream in pain collectively when they hear this. Why we love may all come down to one thing: reproduction. That's right, it's almost as if we're back at the beginning in the lust stage. Is that really all there is? Well, there's no hard line on this in science, as of yet. While neuroscience has done a pretty solid job of identifying a why for falling in love, is more complex. Complicating these studies is the fact that the prevalence of birth control in the world has interrupted the biological connection between love and reproduction in many cultures. One study conducted on the Hadza people of Tanzania made some headway in this regard, since the Hadza still live in a hunter-gatherer society and don't use birth control. Researchers from the University of Wrocław in Poland decided they would make excellent subjects for a study on the biological triggers of love. This research established something we all suspected, but we're never quite sure about. There is a pretty strong connection between love and reproductive success. In other words, why we love is so that we can make more babies or make more copies of us. If you want to be all cynical about it, maybe at the end of the day, the why, the simplest answer of all. It just makes for a great story. After all, why do rom-coms exist? Famed Yale researcher Robert Sternberg seemed to agree, expanding on the famous triangle theory of love, which defined love as having three components: intimacy, passion, and commitment. He added a second layer, creating what he called his duplex theory of love. As Sternberg explains it, everyone needs a love story. The enormous number of unique love stories in the world all exist because everyone is unique, and they need to discover what love is, or what it should be for them in their own way, by creating their own story. Romantics of the world, maybe there's still a shot, right? What do you think about why we love? Chime in and let us know in the comments below.